Welcome to the Ignite You podcast,
where two bros journey into all things spirituality and human transformation.
Let's get it.
I'm starting this one!
Okay.
Rewild your damn self? What are we calling it?
Igniting the soul through activating the primal.
I wouldn't click on that.
Rewild man.
This is for men only, again.
Find your wild man, and this is for women too, but find your inner wild man. I would say something primal. Rewild to rewire.
Yeah, welcome.
Ah! Oh! 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 Oh!
Oh yeah, we're not going to do the fucking... Yeah.
Yes. Integrate. Come on, man. Gentle.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Don't?
No, you don't know. This is like store-bought dirt.
Oh, this isn't wild dirt?
No.
Ew, dude! I'm not even rewilding if I'm touching that. Ew. Okay. That dirt on my face? Cheers. Welcome back to another episode. This is Ryan Miller.
And Cam McDougall.
And today is all about rewilding.
Ooh, letting that primal out.
We're bringing that primal forward. Because of last episode, talking about divine masculinity, we went into talking about finding your inner warrior and bringing it through. And Cam was like, you know what? We should talk about something we've been doing lately, and that is getting very fucking primal in nature to rewild ourselves and rewire our system back to that rooted, natural, primal feel. Mm-hmm. And it's so damn good.
Oh my goodness. It's so damn good. And sadly to say, humans have gotten real soft. You were saying.
Oh, yeah. No, I said that.
You said, then I said, then you said, and we both said. About 100 years ago, if you were to look at human existence,
Yep.
we were a lot tougher. We were a lot more connected to the elements. We were a lot more resilient physically. Maybe our emotional intelligence wasn't quite where it is now, but right now we're going to talk about the physical body. Mm-hmm. And humans now have become so disconnected from the elements that I feel it has become detrimental to our system. Not only from the place of getting softer and less resilient to the elements, but like you just said, really causing some issues with our nervous systems and how immune system
everything.
And how connected we are to the moon, to the cycles, to the seasons, the food we eat, all these different things. So we could go on about that for a while, but we all know this stuff. We're animals. Mm-hmm. You're an animal.
Yes.
You're a serious animal. Yeah. You look like a flying squirrel when you do that, though.
Like a big one.
Like a jack flying squirrel.
Like a massive squirrel.
Yeah, big
cool.
one.
Today is going to be about practical knowledge on this subject. This is going to be another episode where we're giving you tools because, as Cam said, we get very hype about this subject. We could go on and on about societal norms and things that are limiting us in society to not be our fullest expressed selves and primal being that we are innately. But today we're getting really practical and we're dropping into ways that we play with this and ways that you can start bringing it into your life. Mm-hmm. So let's do it.
Let's do it. The most important thing I already alluded to here, getting yourself into the elements. So Ryan, what does that look like for you?
The elements.
I'm rewilding.
we,
Yeah, everyone, we're rewilding
if
right
you're
now.
listening, we have some plants next to us, and this is getting into the elements.
That is not
no
getting into the elements.
We mean fully submerging yourself in the elements. That can look a million different ways because depending on where you live in the world, the elements are going to differ. For us here in Costa Rica, it looks a lot like when we fully do this, we go to a river, we go to a waterfall, and we're in the jungle. So we're fully submerged in that natural experience. For you, if you're in New York City, it could look like just going to a green space, going to a park that has some nature, that has some grass, that has some trees. If you're by the ocean, you jump in the ocean. If you're in the mountains, you go into that. Whatever experience you have near you, you fully submerge yourself into that. And the point is to be fully in it.
And so I'm going to push you a little further than Ryan just did.
Okay.
If you live in New York City, if you go to green space, yes, that's better.
It's accessible.
But I will challenge you that maybe for every 3 times you go to green space, maybe on the 4th time you make the effort to spend a weekend in the forest, like in nature. Because I'm I don't love cities. I'm not gonna lie, I dislike them, but I lived in them for a very long time. I know the energy that cities carry, and there's so much electricity, there's so much pressure, there's so much fragmentation. So you are going to get benefits putting your feet in the grass and playing in nature. And I know Central Park's really big and things like that, but just as an example, we really want to get into nature with this.
Oh, you can do it in Central Park, baby. But Cam is right. Cam is right. The approach to the first layer was just having accessibility on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Making it a daily practice, making it something you can do regularly. And like Cam's saying, especially if you live in a concrete jungle, get out of there on a regular basis.
Run away.
Run fast. Come to Costa Rica.
We got room. I got a casita out there. We got you. Come hang out. We got plants.
Just live in a hammock. That's what we're saying.
Get rid of your shoes. Start wearing a ton of patchouli. Lose the clothes. Grow your hair out. Don't shave.
That's what we're saying.
That's pretty much what we're saying. That's a podcast done.
All right.
Peace out. Stay lit.
So, we're not saying that. Some of that we're saying for sure. You can tell we're very activated right now. We want you to get to a place where you're regularly activating yourself by getting into nature. You wouldn't know this by watching the video, but Cam and I are barefoot now. And this is something we are maybe did you get it up? How's that hamstring? Come on, dude. Okay, if you saw his toes, you know that they're barefoot. And
that's so sad. It's such bad. But I have a big deadlift.
Okay.
Sorry,
hamstrings too tight though. Hamstrings too tight. So we want you to get that on a regular basis. It's not that we're just inside and barefoot. We regularly have shoes off. I'll speak for myself. I regularly have my shoes off, because that just connects me to the earth.
The bottom of Ryan's feet looks like the sole of a shoe.
Built different. Built primal, you know? And they're beautiful and soft at the same time, but not penetrable. Impenetrable. So, wow, we are just activated.
We're on one.
And this is beautiful because we're passionate about this topic. So what we're both saying, regularly getting into nature, regularly creating those environments where you're being submerged in nature. And if you can't be fully in it, go to the green spaces, take the shoes off, have those little experiences. And Cam's invitation is even a layer beyond. Get fully into that environment.
Make it a priority.
Make it a priority. Make the weekend. Take the time. Get into that space. Get into
you're an animal.
Elements.
You're an animal.
Yeah. And we've gotten soft. So this allows you to show up in that power, to show up in that warrior spirit, which then is the next piece. We're in the elements. Now what do?
Ooh. We put the elements on us.
Yeah, we do.
Uh-huh. One of our favorite experiences is going to the river, scrambling around, walking around, maybe getting a couple scrapes, a couple scratches. I can see Ryan's getting fired up right now. finding river mud,
It's pure stuff.
the good, that brown gold, you know?
It's soft, not too grainy.
But you want a little exfoliant.
You want, yeah, but not too, not rocks.
Not
right?
rocks. Not rocks.
No.
But enough to just, ruffle things up. Maybe drop a little blood.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'm kidding, but not really. Take the mud, we rub it all over our bodies, and we really sit in that. And to be honest, Ryan and I will actually embody creatures at that time. And I always think in the back of my mind, like if I was just some person like going on a hike and I come around the corner and you just see us like, looking at each other.
Okay.
You're like, I need to leave.
I'm gonna go now.
This is not the right place for me.
But that's how you know you're doing it right.
It's true. And that's an element that we're going to talk about is really breaking out that weird aspect and getting back to your primal self. So to continue the story, we usually rub mud on ourselves. We get really immersed in it. And then we just let it out. And we activate in some way or another, which we'll get into in a second. So what I'm saying here is we get out into nature, we get out into the water, we hike around, we immerse ourselves off trail, we rub dirt, twigs, sticks, leaves, all kinds of stuff on us to recalibrate the system and really totally submerge ourselves back into nature, even if that involves acting like an animal.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. And if you can get to a place where you have privacy, which is ideal, clothing optional, people.
Yeah.
Get it on those sexual organs. Connect into that space. Allow yourself to be open.
So liberating. To be running around naked, covered in mud. Just ready.
Running, playing on rocks and stuff.
So good.
And with that, do you want to go to what we do when we're covered in the elements?
For sure.
All right, cool. With that, so it's not that Cam and I just do this. It's not that this is just like something for the men to do. We never mentioned that. We have a lot of women that come with us and experience this too. So many different people that come into this, and it's fucking amazing. It's just rewilding, getting back to that warrior. Anybody can do this. Anybody will benefit from this.
The women go to town
harder than us.
Hardcore.
We got to show up for that. We're like, oh yeah, you're going.
Okay, you got this figured out. She screamed louder than I did.
No way.
Nah.
I screamed the loudest. But
besides
that, what we're saying, what we do. Usually, we have a method that we use for this. We get into nature, cover ourselves in mud, move around a bit, clothing optional, whatever you want to do there. Then we do something called the bear breath. Cam's going to give you an example. Can't do it right now.
But long story short, I'm going to do a compact version of it. Okay, you can't see my legs, but we inhale.
No way.
And then we exhale.
So if you're listening in,
powerful. If you're listening in, I've cut this out because there's no.
It's so bad.
Visual. It's so bad.
It's not that at all. It's just a little penguin.
It's a penguin breath.
It's not a bear breath, people. This is the penguin flop. It's a penguin hyperventilating. This isn't a bear breath.
I'm a big man. You're not in the room.
Okay, so the bear breath is squatting. When you inhale, you put the hands all the way overhead, and when you exhale, you bring them all the way down and let it out. And you do rounds of that.
Full body breath.
Exactly. We do that. We do a couple rounds of that, and then usually on the last round, we'll bring that exhale into a loud primal scream. Fully allow all of it out.
Like rip your throat scream.
Rip it.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time you've allowed a full scream to be expressed? And sometimes we'll do this and we'll think about something that's stuck on our heart, something that's angering us, something that is real and alive. And sometimes we'll just do it. And then other emotions will occur. It'll just be fun. There's many different ways to approach it. But when's the last time you did something like that? Really allowed yourself to fully express? There's many people that have never done that. So when you get to go into that space and move that energy and allow it, ideally you're with some homies as well because it makes it fun. You get weird together, it amplifies the experience. But if not, you can hit it solo. That energy moving with the elements on you, with the breath moving your body, your system, getting out of the head. Stop giving a fuck about anything else going on.
Yes.
Embody the practice and scream and move that energy.
Yes. I want to do it right now. We're not going to scream in your ear because it really doesn't sound very good when we do that. But I want to scream right now.
Yeah?
No.
Okay.
Like, not actually do it.
I'm
just telling you. I want to.
Yes.
I want to.
We will. When the
We
camera's
will.
off.
We did yesterday. We probably will tomorrow.
Yep.
To do this, you have to be okay with looking like a complete psychopath.
Yeah.
And that is very important because here's the thing. I'm going down the rabbit hole a bit.
It's okay.
Society is putting you in a box. It's putting your feet in a box. You're wearing shoes. Those are a box around your connection to the earth. There is a box on concrete, which is another box, which is just a box on top of a box. We're talking boxception here.
It's a Russian doll boxes.
It's a Russian doll boxes, and then you live in an apartment building, which is another box, and you got a room, which is a
you
box.
drive a box, and all
you
the
drive a
boxes.
box.
You
So
watch a box.
all of these boxes are pushing you away from nature. And it's so important to know, so important to know that society wants you to act a certain way. Not only are you living in a box, your emotions are put in a box. You're supposed to act a certain way, be a certain way, show up a certain way. And you're an animal. You're an instinctual animal that wants to express parts of you that society deems as weird. If you see somebody covered in mud screaming at the top of their lungs, what are you going to think?
It's crazy.
Now that you've listened to this podcast, you're like, oh, it looks pretty fun. But before, like, you would think that person's insane. You would think that person has a mental illness. You would think they would be homeless or something. Newsflash. You could walk across Ryan and I doing that all the time. And yes, we are relatively insane, but at the same time, we are also very grounded, successful people that operate in the realm of society. And we're able to do that because we truly do recalibrate. We let the wild out. And when you let the wild out, you're able to find such a beautiful balance back in the boxes, if you're in the boxes, or whatever your version of a box. I'm going to say box.
How many times? We should have a box counter on this
people
episode.
could use this episode as like a drinking game. Every time Cam says box, you take a shot.
Of cacao.
Of cacao. Yeah, of course. Conscious.
Okay.
Anyways.
Boxes.
Boxes. You know.
So, what I'm hearing from Cam a lot is the word box, but also the opposite of suppression being in that box is an expression of being open and allowing yourself to be in these environments that allow you to fully fucking feel alive.
Yes.
When it comes down to it, that's what this podcast is about. It's about igniting you, igniting your soul on a regular basis, getting yourself into environments where you can fully feel whatever the fuck you want. You can fully allow energy to move. You can fully be in that light. Be in whatever emotion you're feeling. Move it. Be in it. Get back to that primal essence and allow it because it feels so damn good. Yes, it might look crazy. Yes, it might look weird. Yes, it might feel crazy and weird and uncomfortable. But on the other side of that, ooh, talk about energetic orgasms. No way. Lasers?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, of course. And
how come you don't have lasers in your energetic orgasm?
I just did.
Well,
I just did.
Embrace it.
That energy moving through you fully expressed rather than suppressed, which we live most our lives with because we can't express in these containers or boxes that we lock ourselves in. Allow us to bust through it and burst that bubble, and oh baby, it feels good. So that is the invitation today.
And here's the thing. The more afraid you are of doing this, it just means the deeper into nature you gotta go.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to us and you're like, oh my goodness, I could never do this at the park, which is understandable. Okay, it's understandable. You might not want your clients to see you covered in mud screaming in a park.
But it might inspire them.
But it might inspire them. Now,
actually on that, sorry to cut you off, but on that.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, New York City and clients, just bridge something for me. Our friend Yumiko that comes here sometimes but lives in Brooklyn, New York. Shout out Yumiko. We were there we were walking around barefoot when we were in a park. And it was this really beautiful thing. And she was like, oh, it just feels so good to be barefoot. It's so often that I don't get to have this experience. It's great. And then I was like, let's just walk around the city barefoot. And she was like, ah. And not because of how gross the streets are, because they are, and that's okay. But because she was like, but what if I see a client? What if this happens? Like, what if? And I was like, yeah, what if? And then when she really got down to it, she was like, it would probably invite them into something. Whether it triggers them or invites them into getting a bit weirder with life, it's going to invite them into something. So on that note, yeah, we walked around barefoot in New York City and Brooklyn, super gross. I get it. But it was great because it challenged a belief that she had around her expression, around her being perceived by potential people in her environment, and pushing that just a little bit. We're not talking about you have to go and do all the breath and do all these things right away. But it's
barefoot, covered in mud, doing the breath in the middle of New York City. Naked.
So get arrested, why don't you? What we're saying is find that next layer, find that next version of what it looks like to rewild, what it looks like to consciously not give a fuck, as we talked about previously on a podcast. That. Okay, sorry, cut you off.
No, that's okay. Just interrupt me. I don't mind.
Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, I'm good.
Continue.
It's an open floor now.
Go exactly from where you were.
My thought was just flowing.
You got it.
And you cut it off. No, it's okay. I love that. I love that story, and I think that's really important because find your relative expression. But really, what I was getting into is that the deeper you go into nature, the more safe this stuff feels. The more chance that you run into a grizzly bear as well and fight one, and that would also be a very primal rewilding experience. Warrior level, 1,000. But the more you go into nature and the more you fully immerse yourself, the more free you're going to feel to really, truly get wild and get weird. And so if you want to get naked and you want to get covered in mud and you want to scream at the top of your lungs, which is so fucking healing for so many people, just go deeper into nature. Go deeper away from society. Find places where you can truly do this. You know, I have a lot of clients that I wouldn't necessarily want to see me in my healing, in my full expression. So I moved to Costa Rica and I go run into the jungles where nobody's going to see me because it's such an important part of my being. And I get there is that relatability. There is that element of professionalism that some of us want to uphold and live by. So if you're feeling limited by that, then just once a month, once a quarter, make a trip that sends you deep into nature. Go on a hike, go into the mountains, go do something that's just really going to immerse you and get into the water, get into the mud and scream from the top of a mountain. So powerful.
And find your people that will do it with you.
Yes.
Because it's so beautiful.
Witnessed.
When you can be witnessed in that, when you can witness others in that, you can share that experience.
Yes.
Oh, baby. That is beautiful. Because then you can also come back to those same environments that you were at, whether they're coworkers or people you know, and you're like, damn.
You're like, we get
that.
it. We get it. You get it. I know.
Like that, where you can actually have your people that show up with you in the wild, in the weird, and then can show up with you in your day-to-day life. You know those people are deeply connected to you. And it just feels good to be accountable to that experience as well. Like, we're going to go hit it today. Come on, let's go. Bring them into it. Get people that you can be brought into these experiences with as well. Get after it. Get weird. Get wild.
Oh, that's how we're going to end this one. Perfect.
As always,
stay lit, crew.